Hey everybody, I'm back here in Arizona, and I'm just really excited to share my experiences in Redding and at Bethel Church in Redding, California. And it's for a while, for the last 2 months, me and Raymond, we planned a trip with a bunch of people that wanted to have the Bethel Experience and to get together and just really enjoy God. And right off the get-go, I landed in San Jose, California, and James Wallace picked up me and Al at the airport, and right away, the glory waters, the presence of God started to get really intense. It started going up, and I just began to realize how beneficial it is to be with other people that are really into the presence, into the glory of God. And then a little bit after that, we hooked up with Raymond and Melody, because Melody came in a little bit later, and then it started even getting more intense, the presence of God, and it was just such a blessing. And we started making our way. Oh, and I forgot also, there was Destiny. Destiny actually lives a couple. Well, anyhow, Destiny rode up with Raymond way at the beginning of the trip. But when we all got together, then it began to get even more intense yet, just that sweet atmosphere of heaven. And we began traveling up to Redding. And about halfway up, I was already getting super blessed by the presence of God in the van with James Wallace, with Al. But then I hopped in halfway up with Raymond, and the fire of God started hitting us, and it started getting more intense. It got so intense, the presence of God, that it began to have almost like I guess you would say, it began to alter my natural senses, because it was 2 hours of driving, but it felt more like 5 minutes. And the speedometer said 70 miles an hour, but it appeared to be, from my perception, like we were driving like 5 miles an hour. It was like really trippy. Just that really intense, multi-dimensional manifestation of other realms, or the glory realm. But that first night that we arrived there, and we hooked up with Hannah once we checked in and we were up and ready, because Hannah, she came in from Texas and flew straight into Redding, California. And the first night we went into the intercessory room, which was amazing, and we broke off into sections with the intercession. In my section, we were praying for all the teams, the Bethel supernatural teams in the United States. And anywho, the leader of our section, she asked me and James Wallace to go up front and pray for the United States, the teams in the States, and the church and what have you. And the leader, maybe she could sense, I felt this incredible like stirring of the power and fire of God, and I felt like I could hardly contain myself. And she asked me to go up there and pray for the teams in the States and whatnot. And when I got up there, I could really, when it was when I had the mic in my hand, I started feeling the fire of God. And there's this common saying that or, William Seymour, he would pray a prayer, and I felt like applying it to Bethel and their teams. And it's the prayer that William Seymour asked God. He says, Lord, dip me in the kerosene of your Spirit and set my heart ablaze that I might burn for you. And I felt like praying that Bethel and all their teams would have a fresh immersion into the kerosene of the Spirit, and there would be a fire that would burn hotter than ever before, and they would see miracles at a volume or at a level even higher than they've already seen. During Azusa Street with William Seymour, they would see limbs grow out, basically matter that wasn't there before God would bring into existence, such as limbs, new teeth, and every person would get healed. But it's my desire and hunger that it would be even at a new level, a higher level even than Azusa Street. And I know that it's there. I know that we're on the brink of something huge. And also I got to meet a lady that is from Hawaii that hung out with us. Her name is Jeanette, and she was like a lion in the kingdom, and she is just incredible. She just emits so much power. But we had a great time, and I think it was so prophetic that when we were in the intercessory room, a torrential downpour was hitting the roof. And a lot of times I've been told in the natural, it'll parallel what's going on in the spirit. And the timing of this intercessory time, it was pounding so hard on that roof, the rain and the thunderings, and it was just incredible. Well, the next day was the prayer rooms where people could get prayed for their healings. And at Bethel, they see healings all the time. But when we were in line before the prayer rooms, the fire, the power of God was breaking out before we even got in the prayer rooms. And people's legs were growing out. Someone jumped out of a wheelchair. In fact, just that morning, 30 people had legs, like where one leg would grow out and match the other one. Because a lot of times back problems, shoulder problems are connected with just needing alignment and whatnot. And just before we went into the prayer rooms, you write down on a piece of paper, there's 3 lines where you write down the different things you're believing God for. And I just want to give a testimony that they've actually had people where they'll write down what they want their healing. There was this testimony of this person, they were writing down what they want their healing for, 3 lines, and line 1, right when they wrote down what they wanted, as soon as they hit the period, they wrote down the period, the healing that they were asking for would manifest. Then they went to line 2, and that ailment they wanted healing from, it would instantly manifest. And then the 3rd one, and sometimes people will get healed in the parking lot before they even get into the building. But before I went into the prayer meeting, into the healing rooms, I wrote down what I was believing for, or wanting God to heal me for. And then just before you go in, you would reach your hand into a box just to build your faith and just to activate just to stir up your faith and activate your faith, I reached into the box, and the testimony that I grabbed matched what I was believing for exactly. And that happened before me. It happened to 6 other people where they would grab exactly what they were believing for their healing. Well, anywho, Hannah, when she went in, she was believing. She said that God told her that she would be healed of her. She was almost completely deaf, and when she went and got prayed for, God completely healed her of her deafness that she was born with, where it was almost down to nothing, her hearing. And then, and I'm a witness to it, because when I first met Hannah, I kept having to repeat what I was saying over and over again with her hearing aids in. And then after she received her healing, she could hear everything that I was saying, even after she took out her hearing aids. I mean, after they were out. But it was really cool too, though, because before we even came to this trip, I told Raymond, I said, that would be so cool to meet Bill Johnson and shake his hand. And Raymond said he really felt like that was really, it would have to be basically a miracle, because nowadays Bill has like security like bring him to the platform, and then security around him after he's finished sharing to leave the platform. But then when we went to that, we were at a restaurant, and I forgot to mention that last minute, Zach, a friend of Raymond and I's, he found out that we were in Redding, and he showed up, and he was in the restaurant with us, and he said, that's Bill Johnson. And Bill Johnson had walked he had walked into the restaurant to sit down. And just the timing, how God's timing is so perfect. And then Hannah, she walked over to Bill Johnson at his table and told him that she had just gotten healed that day in the healing rooms. I think it was that day. But she had gotten healed in the healing rooms. And she showed him her hearing aids and how her hearing got fully restored. And then I hesitated to go over to Bill's table, but then some of the people from my group, they went over there. So it's like, oh man, this is a chance. I mean, how many chances, or what are the chances of getting him actually shake his hand? And so then I walked over there, but when Raymond shook Bill Johnson's hand, he said he felt so much weight. I mean, he couldn't believe it. It was almost like an anchor, is what Raymond said. It felt like he was holding on to like this really steady, strong anchor. But when I walked up to Bill, I just looked at him in the eyes, and I put my hand in his hand, and then I put my other one over it, and I looked into Bill's eyes, and I told him, I said, I've always wanted to meet you. And when I looked at it, I felt so much sweetness and so much love just coming or emitting from his eyes, and so much brightness, so much light from heaven. But anyhow, I wanted to share that testimony of how awesome just the timing and how God sets things up. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then And then there's a room where it's just solely just focused on just drinking the Spirit. But after that, I went to the Sunday morning. Let's see, was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday morning. Actually, it was afternoon when we went in, but we were in worship, and the worship was like incredible. But when we were in the middle of worship, God was just showing me how his wife had passed like a couple years ago, and she had the gift of intercession, and God was showing me that she's still interceding for Bethel. And then I had a vision of a pillar of fire, like a heaven opened up and a pillar of fire coming down and hitting Bethel Church. And I just, when I had that vision, I felt so much, it blasted me. I thought that was really like incredible, that vision. And I just wanted to share that. Let's see, on Monday, let's see what happened on Monday. I'm trying to remember if we even went on Monday. Well, anyhow, it's like, but it's probably a combination of everything, just being in that Bethel atmosphere, that environment of faith, and even like just shaking Bill's hands. There's impartation by touch, by laying hands. And I mean, I was believing like shaking his hands that I'd receive impartation, or even just like marinating or in the Bethel environment, just soaking it up. But I even noticed this morning that it just keeps going up, wave after wave. The waters keep rising. And this morning, me and my wife, we were listening to Bethel music, and the love of God hit us so hard that we were both bawling, we were both crying. And then just faith for healing was growing, and I offered to pray for her, and she got hit by the glory of God so hard that I could feel what she was feeling. She said that she's never felt that before, that she felt like she was floating in the heavenlies, basically. I could feel it. It was like she became like a helium balloon. But, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Hannah, I noticed that when I was around her, her presence feels almost like a soap bubble, like just floaty. She feels so light, her presence and whatnot. But yeah, it was a blast, and I'm excited to go back to Bethel here. I mean, I'd love to go back to Bethel and experience some more of that, just that incredible atmosphere. Let's see. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. And let's see, God, is there anything else? But yeah, we get excited about on earth as it is in heaven. There's no sickness in heaven. There's no disease in heaven. There's no depression in heaven. Jesus told us to pray on earth as it is in heaven, and Jesus is our shalom. Shalom means nothing missing, nothing broken. So just believe and just continue to cultivate that faith and dwell on testimonies. In fact, I really felt by the Spirit of God to read When the Fire Fell by William Seymour. It's a lot of testimonies, but there's so much power in testimony. It reveals the nature of God and disarms the skewed or the misunderstood nature of God. That Jesus says, whoever has seen me has seen the Father, because Jesus is the perfect revelation of God, and he was all about restoration, deliverance, grace. But yeah, that was the most incredible experience. There were times when me and Raymond, as soon as we would wake up and as soon as I became conscious of being awake, it's like I felt so much heavy, thick, hard glory. But yeah. Anywho, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm sure I'll make more later. All right, love you guys. Oh yeah, and I have some expenses from the trip I just did. Let's see. Well, if you feel that or anything, my my PayPal is heavensbigparty@gmail.com. I'm still trying to cover all the expenses of my trip. I'm just believing, for favor. Anyhow, I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.